Hello and welcome to the BSI Comics podcast.
VODCAST. Not letting it go.
Apparently. My name's Adam.
I'm Fletch.
So this episode is going to be a little segmented because we do two trailer reviews a little bit later that will also be part of Full Metal Mouse, the show that we do where we discuss like Disney and Universal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have any Universal news this week, but but we do have a little bit of like regular Marvel Comics news.
Yeah, I don't think it's any secret. DC's kind of taken the market share of late with all their Rebirth stuff. Marvel
is playing catch up right now.
Obviously trying to grab it back. So,
but they have been trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice thing about competition is like when it's on, like it inspires people to be better and do better work. You know, DC came out strong with Rebirth, so Marvel couldn't just come up with another bunch of like crappy.
Well, it's just started out one again.
Yeah, which they are doing, to be fair, but
some of it.
But they seem to be trying a little bit more. They've got a few good titles out. So the next big thing, we're currently in the middle of Death of X, which explains what happened to the X-Men during the 8-month gap, and I haven't been reading that. Have you?
I have not read it yet. I'm going to read it all as one big bundle.
Issue 2 just came out this week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I guess it's every other
weekly,
week.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weekly? Okay. Well, the follow-up to that is going to be Resurrection, which is going to be a crossover between the X-Men.
Follow-up to that is IVX, then Resurrection.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So IVX is its own miniseries?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they haven't talked much about that.
That's the big crossover event. The big X-Men event. You know, there's always like...
So wait. Well,
like we had AVX.
I'm learning things. So is Resurrection an actual event, or is it like one of those Marvel subtitles?
I think it's more like a subtitle.
Okay.
Like Rebirth. You know,
okay.
It's the Resurrection.
I'm confused. Okay.
So coming out of...
I thought Resurrection was going to be a series in which there would be spin-offs that were about to talk
So coming out of IVX, we'll have the Resurrection. And the logo is kind of cleverly designed to have the X and the Inhumans logo, so you don't know...
Yeah, and it misspells Resurrection because it had to be clever.
Right.
Anyway, but we have had some titles announced for Resurrection. All X-Men, no Inhumans so far. So the one we just learned about is Generation X, which I was a huge fan of when I was I was
young
lad. Teenager. When I was still a teenager. Scott Lobdell, Chris Bacalo, like good stuff. It's actually Bacalo's best work. He was being inked by Mark Buckingham, who went on to fame on Fables, and then recently went back to Miracle Man.
Good stuff.
He had done some work on. But yeah, really cool stuff. It was it was kind of our generation of X-Men, really. You know, the new kids.
This title.
This could be good. We don't know much about it. Like, we're looking at the cover, and obviously, it's not just Generation X on the... Well, it's probably not the actual cover of the comic. It's a little, like, teaser announcement.
Yeah, I don't know. All these images that they've done for these launch books...
They're like shattered glass kind of things.
And it's kind of got, like, the character or the theme through the ages or through the time.
So, the ones we're looking at have, like, the more recent New X-Men... New Mutants, like the original New Mutants, Generation X. One of them has Jubilee, who was, of course, part of Generation X. Her current status is a vampire/adoptive mother. Really.
Comics are weird.
Yeah. We don't really know what it's going to entail. Like, will it be a combination of all those things? Will it be a completely new team with new characters, but this is going to be a resurrection of a title with some weight to it. Like Generation X meant a lot to, and I feel like Marvel's trying to replicate Generation X several times. Like we're looking at the cover, they have, like I said, new X-Men, young X-Men,
Amazing.
No, Amazing wasn't a newer team. They did like Nightcrawler and what have you, but. Anyway, point is, like, they've tried to do Generation X a few different times, and it has not specifically Generation X, but a version of it several times, and it just never quite worked out, even though some of those books were pretty good. So that's interesting. One theme that goes throughout all these announcements is that they're not announcing any creative teams. Like, all we know is that there will be a title with this name on each of these issues. The next one of the more recent ones, is Weapon X, which of course features various members of the Weapon X program on the cover, or again, teaser, not cover. We don't know what this one will be about either. We don't know if it's going to focus on all the members of Weapon X, or if it will be specifically like a second title for the new Wolverine, Laura, who features heavily later on in the story we'll talk about. But yeah, so there's that. There's Jean Grey. Also, don't know which Jean Grey.
Don't know which iteration.
So, well, we'll talk about the other one in a second. But since it's called Resurrection, technically speaking, it could be a resurrection of Jean Grey. I feel like that's not where Marvel's going to go with this. It probably will be young Jean Grey, because they put kind of all their eggs in that basket.
Maybe they'll put their minds together.
That would be terrible.
That would be awful.
The other one is Iceman. Now, this one we legitimately don't know whether we'll focus on the Iceman that's been around for 50 years, that Bendis decided to make gay for no particular reason.
Or the all-new Iceman.
The all-new Iceman who was gay all along. Or at least, doesn't matter. Anyway, but yeah, like, most of the images are actually from the original Iceman. So I'm assuming...
all the pictures are older images. Like, this is there's no new art.
Well, the Jean Grey one had clear pictures of the younger Jean Grey.
Right.
But this one, I'm not seeing anything that's not from the Bobby Drake that's been around forever. By the way, Marvel, if anyone from Marvel's listening, this sucks. Like, not being able to properly explain Jean Grey versus Jean Grey, or Bobby Drake versus Bobby Drake, it's confusing. It's confusing for the person explaining it, much less the people listening. All, like, 5 of you. Anyway,
this stuff's not coming out till spring of next year.
Right.
So it's going to be a bit, but we got a big story, leading up to that. So hopefully that'll be good.
So yeah, I mean, I guess IVX will probably not be weekly; it'll probably be monthly.
I would guess
if they're going for spring. But yeah, I'm not pissing on these comics. I have high hopes for X-Men. X-Men, when I was a kid, was my favorite comic.
Right.
But X-Men's lost its way. There's still good books here. The Lemire stuff's nice.
It's too convoluted. There's you don't remember who's
it's
on
not that
which.
It's convoluted. It's that there's no direction. It's
there's
just everywhere.
This team over here, then this team over here, then.
Now young Scott Summers is going to be part of Champions, which I'm cool with because we discussed Champions. Turned out to be a very good book, but it's all over the place.
Also, it also serves to show that they're not getting rid of the X-Men. I mean, a lot of people, when they're pushing the Inhumans, they don't have the license. They're going to get rid of the X-Men.
No, I don't even think Rich Johnston was really pushing the idea they'd get rid of the X-Men, because they could. It's too much money.
They're not going anywhere.
And the Inhumans thing isn't picking up that well. Like, it has its fans, but it's not. Inhumans is never going to be X-Men.
They're cool, but they're cool as
their own thing.
Secondary characters, they're
not... I think part of the problem is that Marvel is treating them like they're mutants now, but they're not. They've never been. They've been a completely, technically similar concept, but a lot of the things about the Inhumans that people liked was like the alien culture. At times, literally, at one point they were on the moon, and now they're just kind of like random superpower characters who might as well be mutants. But. And who knows, maybe Resurrection is like the resurrection of both these two brands.
Right.
Like trying to reinvent them in new ways, because we don't know, we might start getting Inhumans.
I'm guessing they're going to have to find some cure for the Mists,
Maybe they will, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Hope will come back and cure the mutants of the Mist. I don't know. Anyway, next story. So, Midtown Comics is a comic shop out in New York that does pretty well for itself. It's in a big market.
Big shop.
It's probably one of the biggest in the world, I would assume, as far as like sales.
As far as sales, not their location isn't huge.
Well, it's New York City.
Being in New York. But they do a lot of online sales. They do a lot of the exclusive covers, a lot of high-profile artists. They always get J. Scott Campbell to do some pretty big covers for them.
Right. And so with the new Invincible Iron Man coming out, we just got Infamous Iron Man came out this week, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Right.
But with the new Invincible Iron Man coming out, they hired J. Scott Campbell to do a couple of variant covers. I mean, technically, it's one cover with two different.
Yeah, it's like a variant where they do like different costumes.
Mm-hmm. So one of them has Riri Williams, the new Iron Man, or Ironheart. She's being called Ironheart, in her Iron Man heart costume, armor. The other has her in kind of a Tony Stark-esque, like she's got the.
It's her normal clothes. That's what she was wearing.
Well, but she's got the reactor on her chest. And people, well, I don't want to call them people. A bunch of internet social justice warriors, trolls, freaked out and basically accused Midtown Comics and J. Scott Campbell of overly sexualizing
a 15-year-old girl.
Well, they wanted to make sure to point out it's a 15-year-old black girl. Like, one person literally wrote, well, black girls are easy, right? Like, saying that sarcastically, as if to say that J. Scott Campbell was implying something.
Mm-hmm.
And so Midtown Comics got rid of the cover, which to me, horrible choice. Giving in to these idiots that there's not a lot of these people, and I wouldn't even credit the whole generation of kids as being this. These are just dumb kids who don't have jobs, and just when they're not at school or whatever it is, or they're not playing video games, they sit around and they complain about stuff that doesn't matter on the internet. And this is ridiculous. Yes, J. Scott Campbell drew her a little older than she is. I've seen 15-year-old girls with their midriffs bared. It's not nobody looks at someone's stomach and goes, "Oh man, oh bruh, you see that girl's stomach?
Right.
You see that girl's stomach, bro?" Nobody says things like, "Yeah, I got overly weirdly like combination California."
It's
hip-hop.
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Didn't mean to. Point is people don't do that. It's there's nothing over.
Point is, people freaking out.
Right.
All he did was draw her in her actual.
And you just
outfit.
pulled up another cover that he.
Well, this is what I wanted to show
from.
you. A lot of people don't realize this, but that's her actual costume design. She kind of has track pants on, and she has a crop top.
Right. Now we can both agree that she does look older than 15 in this.
Yeah.
That's not something that's exclusive to J. Scott Campbell. A lot of artists have trouble differentiating physically the difference between a teenager and an adult when they're drawing a comic. Now, it's easy to draw the difference between a kid and an adult, but let's be honest, like 15, 16-year-olds these days, a lot of them do look like fully grown adults these days. Like, I don't know what they're putting in the water. Like, I don't know if they're drugging their lunches or whatever. Kids look a lot older, in my opinion. I'm not thinking a lot of people's opinion. It's a weird line, but the idea that J. Scott Campbell is trying to sexualize this fictional character, which again, it's a fictional character. Now I'm sure, well, there's going to be young black girls that look up to her. Yes, and I'm sure they'll wear tank tops and crop tops.
I mean, these are panels from the actual book that she appeared in. This is.
They can't see that, but yeah, it's.
But I'm showing you.
You can clearly see that her stomach's bared in it, and that this is her original design. Again, it's a mountain out of a molehill.
It's just people trying to start shit.
Right. I'm not cutting that out. I don't care. It's just sad. Like J. Scott Campbell is a super nice guy. We both have a lot of art from. You have actually original art from him.
For someone to be attacked.
Mm-hmm. This is literally a dude that Disney hires to do prints for them. Now, you want to talk about overly sexualizing. He's a Disney prince. Well, not his new ones, but like the ones he was doing before he was official Disney artist, those were pretty sexual.
He came out officially and said he wasn't going to jump in on it, but he did make a small statement
Well,
that
it's
said,
hard when you're being attacked publicly.
all he did was draw the character on design,
Right.
and he wasn't.
And by the way, we don't know. Like, he might have lost money over this. I don't know. Like, I'm sure odds are Midtown still paid him because one of the covers is still around. But we don't know if he lost money over it. But I don't know. I don't necessarily blame the shop for not wanting to deal with it and shutting down the cover. But in my opinion, giving it to these people is the wrong.
Well,
reaction.
there's a really easy way. Just don't buy it.
Right.
Well,
let's be honest. They weren't going to buy it in the first place.
Right.
Actually, I don't care much about Invincible Iron Man, but I usually do want to buy J. Scott Campbell.
Like you said, mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to bring up that point, maybe bring up a point, but don't just straight on attack somebody for something they clearly were not doing.
That's the name of the game these days.
If it's really that big a deal to you, you need to talk to Marvel about the character design if it bothers you that much.
But it's not about that. It's about making noise.
I know. I understand.
It's about having an impact, ruining people's lives because you're a hero, right? You're a warrior, sitting at your keyboard, typing away, eating your Funyuns or whatever the kids eat these days. I don't know. Sitting on Tumblr, you're
Look,
a
man,
warrior.
Don't just assume kids eat Funyuns. Okay, we don't need people attacking us.
What are you, Funyun phobic?
Because you think people eat Funyuns.
Are you a funophobe? Do we have any other news? I know Civil War II, the one of the issues is coming out a little bit.
Yeah. Marvel's trying to get that back on track. Everybody seems to think that it's really far behind. They're like, here they go again. It's really only 3 weeks behind.
Still.
I know the track record, but it's only 3 weeks behind. It's one issue. It's not behind, really. It's fine.
Let's just move on to let's do our recommendations since the next segment is the movie reviews.
All right.
What do you want to recommend?
I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you pick up the Clone Conspiracy #1. No secret, I've been a big Spider-Man fan. I haven't been a big fan of this last run up until the last couple issues where Jackal came back and started doing this cool resurrection stuff. Not to be confused with the X-Men stuff. That's a whole different thing. But Clone Conspiracy is,
oh, yeah, that's true.
We've talked about, going to be the main Spider-Man title for the foreseeable future. And it's pretty cool. I don't know how to go into a lot without spoiling, except it's more hijinks with Jackal bringing people back to life that he maybe should not bring back to life. That will affect the other characters in the book.
Who should he bring back to life?
He should bring back...
All right. So anyway, I think we talked about this on the last episode that this is the core book.
Yeah.
But of course, the most recent issue was a tie-in issue in Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Mans will be a tie-in to the main
right.
Clone Conspiracy.
And also Silk and one of the other books. I can't remember which one, but there's going to be a few different tie-in books. But the main book is Clone Conspiracy, which again does not have Spider-Man on the title. It just has him on the cover, like his face. But the Amazing Spider-Man issue addressed what's been going on with Doc Ock.
It goes all the way back to...
spoilers, he's had a little robot Doc Ock crawling around for the last however many issues.
It goes all the way back to Superior Spider-Man and addresses that issue with Doc Ock, which is really cool. So both of these books together, I would recommend. Yeah,
it doesn't reveal anything in a future issue. It just kind of addresses things that the main book couldn't address.
They do rewrite a little bit of Gwen Stacy history. Kind of, sort of. No spoilers.
I think technically that is, but doesn't matter. But so your recommendation is Clone Conspiracy,
along with the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
I'm actually going to go ahead and recommend two books as well. Shockingly, one of them is a Bendis title. Infamous.
Done.
I keep wanting to call it Infamous Doom. It's Infamous Iron Man. Alex Maleev and Brian Bendis, who were the creative team on Daredevil for a long time, and it's some of Bendis' best work. Really, like to me, his two best creative partners is Maleev and Can't think of his name, but the guy on Jessica Jones.
Gatos.
Michael Gatos. Like those two guys bring out, I think, his best qualities. So the idea for Infamous Iron Man is that Doctor Doom has been looking for something to do. He's been working with Tony for a while, ever since the reboot of the universe.
He actually feels remorse for his...
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Well,
we don't know what his motivations
work
are.
into that.
Yeah. But anyway, so he decides that the world needs an Iron Man because something has happened to Tony. We don't know what exactly. So he decides he's going to... It's honestly, it's not this cliched or cheesy, because I'm saying it's not a ripoff, but it really is the superior Spider-Man version of Iron Man, where a villain decides, I can be a better version.
I'm going to do it better than you.
But he's also trying to be a better version of himself in a way. So, and there's a few surprises. The first issue feels a little short, because it brings up a bunch of stuff. It probably should have been double-sized, but it's really solid. Great art, good story. I'm really interested.
It definitely lays a lot of groundwork down for a pretty cool series. There's some implications of stuff that may or may not happen during Civil War II. It's a good book.
All right, so check that one out. The other thing I'm going to recommend is a series by Mark Millar and Greg Capullo called Reborn. Didn't make as much of a splash as you would think for Greg Capullo's new book. I know you said it sold pretty well. People were picking it up. I feel like it didn't make as much noise, though, on the internet as it should have. So, like I said, later on we're going to talk about Logan. I was talking about to a friend about Mark Millar's work. And Mark Millar's a dude who, he's a good writer and sometimes a great writer. But sometimes the stories go too far and sometimes they feel a little incomplete. But he's still turning out good work. Like Secret Service, which turned into Kingsman, the movie. Because a lot of his books these days are intentionally designed to be a miniseries that will turn into a movie.
Right. And
Reborn, I promise, is the same plan. It's pretty obvious. But Secret Service was solid. Really, really good book. I love Kingsman. I love the movie, but they kind of have their own thing going. They're both pretty good. And I think Reborn's another entry into that, where the idea for Reborn is basically it's about this woman she's at the end of her life. She's lived a long life. She's loved people. She's lost people. And her granddaughter says to her, like you're going to go to heaven or something like that. And she says, I don't believe in that. We're just done. And it's a pretty sad thing. And then it turns out she's wrong, that there is something else out there that you would not quite call heaven. I don't want to give away like the ending, but basically when you die in this universe, you wake up on another planet in sort of another life. You look different. You're younger. You're healthier.
You're basically
you're reborn.
Reborn.
That's it. But you're not like, it's not like not karma. What's the thing where
reincarnation?
It's not like reincarnation. You still have your memories. You're the same person. You're just born into sort of a different world and a different life. And but pretty interesting, very good. It's nice to see Greg Capullo do something so tonally different than, because he's been on Batman for 5 years. So
yeah, 2011.
So good stuff. But yeah, check out Clone Conspiracy, Reborn, and Infamous Iron Man. I think that's going to be it now. The next segment is going to be a movie review, which is also a little long.
Also coming up on the 29th of October, we're having Halloween Comics Fest.
Oh, yeah, we should mention that. Yeah.
It's kind of like a miniature free comic book day. Come in costume. We're going to have stuff to give away. Lots of free books to give away. Sampler books. There's the Dr. Aphra series has just been announced. Spinoff of the Darth Vader.
Yeah, she's kind of the Han Solo on the dark side of the Force.
Right. Her first appearance book is going to be given away for free. We'll have local comic superstar Derek Donovan in-house drawing live, and
is Namaker going to be there?
Yeah, Amaker will be there too.
Okay. Local author and
international
DJ.
rock star
Yeah.
Kurt Amaker.
Kurt Amaker, friend of BSI friend, and yeah, he DJs in
Helsinki,
Europe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go check that out. So you said that's October 29th?
29th. Stop in.
Saturday?
Stop in. Make sure you're in costume. I won't be there because I'll be in San Antonio, but
Get me my book signed.
Right.
Anyway, so we'll just go ahead and say read more comics and check out this next segment, which will end abruptly. Peace! Okay, I thought it was the picture thing again. So I probably already explained this earlier in the video, but this particular section is actually going to be a dual BSI Comics Full Metal Mouse section, since we're discussing something Marvel related, which of course is owned by Disney now. Actually, we're both wearing a Disney subsidiary
Crossover.
Shirt. Oh, is that what that? I thought that was like DX.
Synergy.
I swear I thought you were going to start doing this. So, I don't know. DX, it's fun for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so there were two big trailers that dropped. I guess, was Guardians yesterday?
I don't remember.
I think Guardians was yesterday, and then Logan was today. Yeah, because Logan was early this morning. So, I've been saying for a while, like, there's a lot of movies that I'm interested in, like, say, Rogue One, which also had a trailer. Do we need to discuss that briefly?
If you want.
Let me finish my thought. I'm horrible at this sort of stuff. A lot of these trailers, I like them. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them came out with his final trailer. Really loved it. But they're just not, for some reason, I'm just not as excited. I feel like my pleasure centers are burned out on like big blockbuster movies because we've had so many, at least for people like us that are into sci-fi and fantasy and comics and all that. Like, it's just like constantly for the last 8 years.
I feel like I've been let down a lot this year though, so I'm kind of my expectations
what's come
are
out this year?
Tempered. Ghostbusters.
Were you really hyped for that?
I wasn't hyped for it, but I mean, when stuff keeps coming out and I'm like, meh.
Yeah, but I gotta say I was blown away by these two trailers. They're both teasers.
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like teasers these days are where it's at. Like, the longer trailers always seem to be like, a little too much.
We talked about that with Rogue One, where the teaser was really, really good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the final trailer, I said the same thing. I was like, I felt like the teaser really had me hyped for it. And I'm still definitely interested in Rogue One. I just feel like the more trailers you give me, the more I'm kind of like, okay, I just want to see the movie now. I'm done. But, I feel like the less meaty one, but bizarrely, I think the longer one is Guardians.
Right.
There's a part of me that's starting to wonder, like, maybe Suicide Squad should have just taken that Blue Sweet song. That's who did it, right? But Hooked on a Feeling.
1972.
Right. They should have just put that. I want to see somebody take the Suicide Squad trailer and put that on there, because I feel like part of it is like there's something about that song.
You know what? We should do that. It'll probably fit perfect.
Do we know how to do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, well, let's do that.
How hard could it be?
I feel like there's just something about that song that just makes you hype for a movie. Because not a whole lot happens in the teaser. Like,
They just give you a couple glimpses, a couple subtle character designs. You get to see the adorable little baby Groot.
Yeah, that one's a little bit hidden, but yeah, toddler Groot or whatever it is. Like, he's a little bit older, a little bit wiser. Still very much a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess we'll see, because that was the thing. Like, Groot in the first movie was a puppy, and now I don't know if they're going to make him actually into more of a humanoid.
We don't know how fast he grows either, or how it's going to progress through the movie.
I don't think he's going to be big by the end of the movie. I feel like people will be disappointed. I think we need a little bit of baby Groot. So, we find out pretty early on that, what's her name? Gamora and man, names are escaping me. I want to say Chris Pratt, Peter Quill. I actually am a huge Guardians fan, like, of the comics, so it's weird that I'm forgetting these things. But yeah, so Gamora and Quill broke up.
Well, they were, like, together officially?
I mean, at the end of it, they sort of were. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't think they obviously didn't have a conversation like, "Are we going steady?" And I don't. Do people still have those conversations?
Check yes or no.
Do people still have those conversations, or is it just like we're banging, right?
It's just assumed, and one person like awkwardly changes their Facebook status, and the other person's like, "Wait, what?"
Right. Like, I guess I'm not dating any more girls. This is why I'm alone. Anyway, I like that they're broken up, and I hope that's actually a fixture in the movie, because even though I'm fine with them ending up together at the end of the movie, they didn't really have a whole lot of chemistry.
And Quill's whole thing is he's a playboy.
Yeah, but by the end of the movie, he's meant to be more responsible and all that. The relationship thing sort of furthers that idea.
Right.
But in general, Gamora's not really a romantic chick, and he's not a romantic guy, so, let them be separate. Like, bring in new female talent. I don't mean that in the colloquial sense.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see, and of course it is a teaser, we didn't get to see Quill's dad, who's going to be played by Kurt Russell.
A planet.
Yes, Ego the Living Planet. Very interested to see how James Gunn's going to pull this off, because, I mean, it's going to take a lot of, suspending disbelief to see a planet.
What if it's like one of those shots where it looks like it's a massive planet, and then it zooms out and the planet's only like this big?
I want to see a shot. Of Peter about to be conceived, where Peter's mom goes, "That's no moon." But but overall, just pleasant feelings. And again, I think a lot of it's a song, but it is. I was talking to you earlier. There's a scene towards the middle where Gamora's about to have some sort of sword fight. We don't know with who. And there's some vaguely Asgardian-looking technology in the background. I'm guessing it's probably not Asgardian, but that's the nice thing about the Guardians franchise, is that it's so removed from the regular Marvel stuff that they can explore different stuff. And obviously, the Asgardians showed up at the Collector's place at the end of Thor 2, which moved into Guardians of the Galaxy. But
synergy.
I think I did that wrong. It's
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but overall, yeah, it's pretty limited. But like you said, there's some new costume designs. Quill's design, his general design's a little bit different. They gave him a longer Reaver coat, and I don't
Reaver.
Yeah, they're also called Reavers in the Guardians universe.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah, little Marvel Fox fight, but he does. You pointed out he has space armor that doesn't quite work.
It's like the bottom part of the shoulder pads, like football
right,
shoulder pads.
It looks like a crappy. Well, maybe not crappy, like an expensive football shoulder uniform, which isn't really useful. Like, if in football it is, because you're moving forward, and that's why it's.
He might not be there all the time. We don't know.
I mean, is he going to be spearing people?
I'd
watch that.
Yeah, watch that. Watch Batista spear some people.
Yeah, that was another change. The Drax is noticeably more humanized. He actually gives Quill a hug.
Mm.
But still, the dialogue's specific enough to give you the impression that they're not changing him. He still doesn't get metaphors, doesn't use any amounts of subtlety.
Still incredibly literal.
Right. But at the same time, the Drax from the first movie never would have given someone a hug.
Right.
So, but I like that. I felt like it was a nice little moment in the teaser. And overall, just really hyped for it. I know I keep using that word, hype. It's not really a word that I use a lot. But any thoughts on the movie besides that?
It has that same kind of, like you said, feel. You hear that song and it just triggers something inside you. Like, I'm going to have a good time watching this movie.
Mm.
I'm comfortable going forward.
But a little meatier, but way more depressing, is the Logan trailer, which came out. Well, I don't know. This might come out tomorrow, but it came out on Thursday.
The recent trailer.
Right. So
why is it depressing?
I don't know the hurt. Like you said, you didn't like that. They used the Johnny Cash.
It's
cover
not that I
of
don't
Hurt.
like it. I just feel like it was almost like too obvious of a song, or it was like too. There was no subtlety, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough. They should have used "Hooked on a Feeling." We need to do that as well. No. You know what we'll do? We'll use yakety sax. But
When the bodies are flying.
It gets inappropriate when he sees the little girl. So, the rumor had been that they were going to do Old Man Logan for the longest time. I think it's pretty clear that spiritually it is Old Man Logan.
He is an older man, Logan.
Well, okay, so a couple things. Like, because I got in this kind of an argument with Ted, I kind of let it go, where he pointed out, our friend Ted Wally, he pointed out, like, well, they might, like, it's Logan. It's not, it's different enough that, like, it has its own identity. It's nothing like Old Man Logan. I'm like, yeah,
They're
still
100% playing off of that, though.
Right. But obviously, no matter what the rumors were, they could never actually do the Old Man Logan storyline because Old Man Logan is sort of an exploration of a post-apocalyptic Marvel universe.
And it's an Elseworld story. Well, it's not an Elseworld story. Sorry, that's
legally they can't call it that, but
yeah.
it's a what if. But
it takes place in a different.
But yeah, I mean, you got Spider-Man's daughter and granddaughter.
Spoilers.
Yeah, there's bigger spoilers than that about Spider-Man's kid, but
right.
But yeah, you've got
the
Red Skull, the Hulks are a Hills Have Eyes thing. I was talking to Hunter about it. He was saying that he's not as interested in this movie just because he didn't like Old Man Logan, just because the Hulk parts get pretty. They're a good example of how Mark Miller is a guy with great ideas that sometimes writes great stories, but sometimes goes way too far. Overall, I like Old Man Logan, the comic.
Yeah, it's a good story.
But, yeah, it's pretty dicey, especially when you get to the parts about She-Hulk.
I feel like we're going to have another situation when people are coming in the store after seeing the movie, wanting to read the story. And
my kid can read that, right?
Yeah.
My kid can read that.
Let me just give you a little rundown real quick.
He's
Temporary
referring to,
expectations.
if you've never worked in a comic shop, which most of you probably haven't, a lot of people come in for Walking Dead thinking it's cool to show their kid that. Which, I mean, I guess if you're letting your kid watch the Walking Dead show, it's not that much worse.
Or Deadpool.
There's plenty of Deadpool stories you can give to a kid. Well, I don't know about the current comics, but there used to be.
Yeah, the current ones are okay.
But yeah, so yeah, Old Man Logan, that could easily go bad. But I feel like spiritually, it is. Like, Charles Xavier's in this, looking kind of age appropriate for Patrick Stewart now.
Mm-hmm.
And, but he's clearly taking on the Hawkeye role from Old Man Logan, where Hawkeye was kind of Logan's, not guide, but like sidekick, sort of like
His
commentator.
Spirit guide. His conscience.
But other than that, looks like the plot's very different. The Wolverine seems to have a young Laura. What's her last name? I can never remember her last name. Basically, the new Wolverine, X-23.
Right.
I don't think they'll call her that because I don't know if Fox technically has the rights to that character. Because there's weird rules involved.
Yeah, I mean,
I would assume
she's part of the Weapon X program, so
she probably does. Well, that's the other thing. I'm wondering if this is another Weapon X story that she. I mean, it could be that she's a new character that seems to be X-23 on some level, and just like just basically the movie version of this, or it could be a literal like Wolverine clone, which wouldn't be a bad story either.
Well, she is, right?
In the comics, she is. I
Right.
don't know about the movie. But they're being chased by the Reavers. We got to see Pierce. I can't think of is it Alexander Pierce?
Roman Pierce.
No. Wait, maybe it's not Pierce. Alexander Pierce is the guy from Winter Soldier.
Roman Pierce.
It's not Roman Pierce.
No?
No.
It'd be awesome if it was.
His name is Pierce.
Okay.
I can't remember, but basically the head Reaver that's a cyborg that I'm pretty sure was part of the Hellfire Club.
Preparation.
It's all kind of jumbled around here, folks. But I got the name right, Pierce. Well, part of the name right, Pierce.
You can just stick with Reavers. It's fine.
But yeah, so in the Reavers,
different Reavers, not Reavers from.
The Reavers were from an era of X-Men where they were in Australia. And they were the ones that killed all the Morlocks. But they're a team of cyborgs that hunt down X-Men.
Are they cyborgs or like?
They're cyborgs.
Okay, I thought they were just partially.
Well, cyborgs are partial.
I'm thinking of Android. I'm sorry.
Right.
Forgive me.
No problem. You just gave me crap about preparation. Anyway, they are cyborgs. We skipped over a part though. Like the big part of it is that it seems like this is a world where mutants kind of died out.
It's got a little post-apocalyptic-y kind of feel to it.
If I remember right, that was part of Old Man Logan though. I believe there was a part where Emma Frost says like we thought we were the next generation of human, and turns out we were just a blip on the radar. So I feel like, but it's a strong trailer. It's very violent. There's a part where Wolverine literally pops his claw in somebody's head, and you see it coming out the other end.
Yep.
Which I guess is a good way of telling people, look, don't bring your kid to this movie. But in its way, it's probably the most violent thing we've ever seen from any Wolverine scene, including the ones where he ran somebody through.
It's pretty gnarly.
The movie's been made by James Mangold. He's the director, who also did Wolverine, or The Wolverine, whatever the second one was called. Did you like that movie?
It was okay.
I'm kind of there too. I enjoyed the movie.
I liked it for the most part. I didn't really care for the Silver Samurai.
Right. Everything up until he gets to the village is gold, or at least silver. No, that was a bad. I didn't mean to do that. I swear that was an accident. But everything up until then is really good. My friend Winthrop Chesterton, who I don't need to go into that. He used to do a comic book podcast that I really enjoyed.
That's not a real name.
No, it's not. But I don't remember his real name. But that's what he called himself. Anyway, Winthrop pointed out that one of the biggest problems with Wolverine was we never got that scene of Wolverine tearing through ninjas. Like, you get up to that point, and there's,
right.
He's in the village, and the Yakuza are all around him. I think it was the Yakuza. But there's no fight. They just shoot him with a bunch of, like, tranks and drag him in. That's it. And then you get, like, the weird robot Silver Samurai thing.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That was completely unnecessary. And just, I feel like that's the sort of thing that normally in a movie, like when you're watching DVD, they're like, here's an alternate ending. And you're like, oh, thank God they didn't do that. But they did. They did.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing where, like, Marvel almost made the Silver Samurai into a giant mech suit.
But this is Mangold's chance, I think, to make good and finally give us a Wolverine movie that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. Although some people would argue there are people that actually like the first one.
Yeah. No, there's not.
There are.
They're paid by Fox.
I've met them.
The tone is a lot different. Color tone.
Oh, right.
It's a lot more warm, like reds, like that real, post-apocalyptic kind of feel, as opposed to like the dark blues and stuff like that kind of feeling you get from the last one.
Okay. I was just like, I don't have anything to say about that.
I just don't know how far in the future.
Suppose this takes place a year after the future sections of Days of Future Past.
Okay.
Which don't mean, and this is why, I want to see this movie. And like I said, I like the Wolverine, but aside from the section of the Wolverine that I liked in this, and the promises that, like, because at the end of the Wolverine, you had this idea that they went on, like, him and Yukio went on adventures and did cool stuff, which I would have liked to have seen.
Right.
I actually would have liked that more than the Wolverine's events. But that stuff I want to see, but Fox really needed to just reboot the X-Men franchise after First Class, and this sort of stuff is why you talk about like Days of Future Past. Well, it takes place a year after Days of Future Past, but all those events were erased; they don't exist anymore. So what does that mean? And also, the implication is that Days of Future Past didn't do that much because the mutants died out anyway. Charles Xavier and him are the only ones that are seemingly still around.
Maybe this is an alternate reality, just like the real old man Logan, and
I guess so. But it's
just a teaser.
There's a part of me that doesn't mind as a comics fan because this is sort of typical. Funny enough, this is typical X-Men. The constant alternate dystopian futures. The X-Men never have a happy future. It's arguably one of the most depressing comics ever made in that sense. But it's very X-Men. But I feel like for people who don't read the comics, it's got to be really weird and confusing. Anyway, I really want to see this movie. I think
We're sufficiently teased.
Right. I think it comes out in March, so about 4 or 5 months. So that's going to be it for the movie review section. So you'll either go back to BSI or Full Metal Mouse. I'm not sure. We'll still be wearing these clothes. Or not. Maybe I'll change. Yeah, maybe we'll take off our clothes just to mess with you. Okay. Next scene.